Hello again, everybody. The next car that you've selected to view on ClassicMusclecars.com is another new arrival. Now, this is a trade-in. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what this car is. We're going to go through it. I'm going to tell you, somebody's going to get a great bargain on this car. You can't find this car anywhere in the US of A for what I'm going to sell it for. Don't think so? Go look and see. You can't, I know. This is a real 1968 Z28. It's not one that's had emblems thrown on it and it was a stick car and everybody says it's a Z28. Okay, it's very difficult to tell on 1968 Camaro Z28s if they were in fact a Z28 if you don't have an original window sticker, an original invoice, or this, the Protecto plate. What is so important about the Protecto plate? The Protecto plate will tell you the information on it, what motor was equipped and this car was equipped with. Okay? This has got an MO code motor. It now has a DZ, which is the same thing, but it's only a 69 engine. But it's a 302 DZ motor. MO code was the 302 for 1968. They built less than 8,000 Z28s in 1968. In 1967, the first year that they came out, they built 607. Again, if you do not have a Protecto plate, you cannot get any codes off of the data plate to tell you that this car was in fact a Z28. Now, this particular car was built with an M22 Rock Crusher trans, which puts the production at around 1,200 of these cars. So in almost 8,000 were produced, this is one of 1,200 cars, which is very rare. We're going to take this car for a test drive, and I'm going to show you why the M22 trans is so distinctly different between an M21 or an M20. Totally different animal, and we're going to show you that as we go for the drive. Now, this car is a blue car, blue interior. It's got factory tacking gauges console. You could have got this car flat hood, which they all came with. The cowl hood was only on the 69. Some people make the mistake thinking that this car needs a cowl hood. No, it doesn't. The early 1969 Z28s all came with a flat hood. They were all non-code cars. They were built in Norwood. If a 69 Z28 was built at the Fremont plant, it was a non-code car also, all the way through to production. Only later, in mid-year for 1969 production, did they start coding the cars at the Norwood plant. When they did do that, there was two codes that was on the data plate that would tell you that the car is a true Z28. The codes were X33 or X77. Those were the two codes in 1969 for all mid-year Norwood produced Z28s that you could tell were an actual, in fact, Z28. So many of these cars today have lost this very important paperwork, the Protecto plate. So without it, it's very difficult because we don't have documentation that we can acquire from Chevrolet as we can, for example, PHS or Ford, the Marty report, to be able to call in the VIN number, give them their $25 or $40 fee, whatever it may be in what case, and get actual factory documentation to prove that the car is what it is. This is a real 1968 Z28. The 302 that's in it is a great running motor. We're going to take it out. It does have an M22 in it. I haven't checked to see if it's the original one. For what I'm selling this car for, I don't care, okay? It is a good, solid car. It's a driver car. It's not a 1,000 point show car. It is a car that you can get into, drive, and enjoy. If you want to do more to it, to bring it up in a higher condition status, higher restoration, all that's going to do is just keep adding money to what this car is and what it's worth, because we all know where these cars have been, where they're going, and what the prices are currently on them. This one's got a 373 12 bolt in the back. It also has redline tires on it. The car drives extremely well for the fact that it does have these red lines on it. I've talked before about belted ply tires and red lines, how they want to track the road. And if these tires sit, let's say this car sits in a garage for 30 days or more, they get flat spots in them. They're known for that. So when you get them out on the road, you have to drive them a little bit so that they get themselves expanded so that you're not hearing the flat spots in the tires all the time. That's what red lines are known for. So they're not like radios. So on our road that we have out here is a very bumpy road. This car will ride and drive excellent for the fact that it does have red line tires on it. The chrome on it's real nice. It's got what I would consider a good to very good paint job. It's got a good to very good interior in it. The gas tank has been replaced. That's new. It does not have the correct valve covers and the air cleaner under the hood. I'll tell you that. That's something that you can do. I get a lot of people that ask me, say, Tony, I'd really like to get something I can work on. Well, here it is. I'm not saying that this car needs a whole lot of work, but I'm not saying it's like what we normally sell here. We brought the car in. We decided that time-wise, we've got so many cars out being worked on right now. We're not going to put this through our shop. We're going to give you the deal. The deal is $26,750, which makes this car, as far as I know right now today, on today's date, September 18th, probably the only Z28 that's a real Z28 in the country that you can get your hands on for that kind of money in this kind of condition. This is a great buy. Somebody's going to have a lot of fun with it, and this is like money in the bank. These cars never go down, they continue to rise. So now Jeremy and I are going to take this Z28 out for a test drive, and we're going to have a little fun with it.
And we're rolling.
Hey Jeremy, you all set for a ride in the 68 Z28?
Yep.
Now the odometer says 44,318. I don't know if I want to believe that. The clutch and brake pedals have been replaced with new ones. The shifter that's in this car is a Hurst shifter. It has a Hurst boot down in the tunnel under the console, and it still has the plastic slide that goes back and forth in the console. You don't see that a lot in some of the cars. Gauge wise, I know that the temperature sending unit is not working. The oil pressure is working. Gas gauge seems to be working, and so does the ammeter gauge. Tach also works. Clock does not, which most of them don't. Now again, this is an M22 trans. It's called a rock crusher. You're going to notice we're going to get a howl out of it. It's like a howling sound.
Yep.
That's typical for all M22 transmissions. M20s, M21s, they don't do that. It's almost like having a Pete Jackson gear driving an engine. You hear that whine, Jeremy?
You know, it almost sounds a little like a rear end whine, but yes, that's the standard 4-speed whine for the Camaro. I have the same thing.
All your M22 trans have that sound, and what's good about an M22, it's the most durable 4-speed trans that Chevrolet ever produced. Borg Warner T10 trans, they were good. The M22 Rock Crusher, that's how it got its nickname, Rock Crusher, because you could actually picture just taking rocks and throwing it into the gears. I mean, that,
and grinding them up.
Grinding them up because they are that durable. You can take this thing, throw it off a 5-story building, and put it back in the car, and it's still going to work, and it's still going to do what it needs to do. It's a performance transmission. Now we're going to go down here on our little test track, and we're going to open it up a little bit, and then Jeremy and I are going to fire it up a little bit in first gear. Now the 302 motors, they were 4-bolt main. They had a steel forged crank. They had a solid lifter cam. They had 202 Fuelie heads. They had a factory aluminum intake and a Holley carburetor. Now these cars were underrated at 290 horsepower. Actually, if you put one of these cars on a dyno, they'd go over 400 depending on how you would tweak it. So not a problem. It was very underrated because of insurance purposes. That's the reason why these cars had that kind of a rating. They did a lot of those kind of games in the late 60s and early 70s because the insurance was so hard to get a car insured. You know, if you had major horsepower, nobody wanted to insure it. You were paying more payments on insurance payments than you were for a payment on a particular car. Now you'll notice too, everything in the trans is good. The downshifts are all real good and tight. We don't have a problem with it popping out of the gate or popping out of gear. So give it a little. Now that's just opening up a little bit. What a 302 motor is known for is the high winding RPMs. That's why so many of these cars were blown up, and there's not all of them running around with their original engines, because 5,500, they just start breathing. It's not like a big block. You're done at 5,500 unless it's an LS6 or a tweaked big block that you can get them up to 6,500. These would actually rev up to 7,500 and above. That's why so many of them were blown up. Now we're just going to launch it a little bit in first gear.
Yeah,
big time. We're bouncing all over the place, but nevertheless, even on these belted ply tires, that's how good this car tracks. It's got a good tight front end, good tight brakes, everything's good, trans is good, clutch is good. It's just a good car. So give Ed a call at 847-526-5950. He can fax over a copy of the Protecto plate. He can give you some more information. This is a great car. Again, like I said, it's a great buy. I don't think you'll find another one as good as this car for the price that we're selling it. So this is a car too that you can play with it a little bit. You can do more to it, and these are only going up in value. And most of the 68s that are out there, it's very difficult to tell if they didn't have the original motor in them. It's very difficult to see tell if these were Z28s because of the fact this one has a Protecto plate. We know it's a Z. We also know from the Protecto plate that it was coded as being an M22 trans, which makes this car even rare because there was only 1,200 of those built. The rest of them had M21 trans in them. So that's a good thing. It's a good investment car, and it's got a great price on it. So anyway, I'm going to pull over here, and I'm going to let Jeremy do a walk around on the car. And we're sending it out. We're going to be doing some little bit of detail work to it to clean it up a little bit. We've got it here right now. We're going to put it up on the internet today, and it's ready for sale. So give us an email, and we can give you some more information or anything you may want on this 1968 Z28 302 DZ powered 4-speed M22 373 12-volt Posi Camaro.
Well, that was a nice ride. Now let's go for a walk around the car. It's looking pretty straight. Paint's pretty decent. It's very decent. It's a good riding car too. Of course, I'm not used to riding in the back seat of these things, but that's okay. The Rallye wheels are looking pretty good. This car just recently came in. Do a little cleanup work on it. Doesn't need a whole lot though. On the outside it's looking pretty nice. Nothing of any significance that I can see. Especially at that price. Let's do under the hood. Not the right valve covers. That's correct. Power brakes. Nice set of headers. Nice easy access to those plugs too, unlike other cars I've recently seen. The header gasket looks pretty fresh there. Not bad. The hood blanket's looking pretty nice too. Oh, there's the body tag, and once again another one that's pretty readable. I'll take that slow for people that want to read it. Now let's check out the inside. .44 321 on the odometer. tach, the other gauges, ammeter temperature, oil and fuel. And way down inside, you got the Hearst boot there. Once again, not exactly the stock in-dash digital radio that came with these cars. Dash pad's looking, actually it's quite soft. No cracks. Wheels not bad. Let's look in the back. The back's looking pretty good too. Let's check out the trunk. That didn't work. That works. The rubber going around is looking pretty good. Inside, nice houndstooth mat, reasonably fresh. Looking pretty good. Let's take a look under the car. Gas tank looks very fresh. Bottom left side looks pretty good. And yes, it's a 12-bolt main. Well, I can't say much more about it. Pretty much speaks for itself. 1968, real deal Z28 302 4-speed. Nice car, nice price, nice day.